The Ferrari looked flawless, sleek curves, scarlet paint, and polished rims that reflected the late afternoon sun. But for Isabella Laurent, a stunning, self-made millionaire known across the business world for her beauty, brilliance, and unbreakable confidence, the car had suddenly become her worst nightmare. Isabella adjusted her designer sunglasses, her long dark hair falling effortlessly over her shoulders, and pressed the ignition again. Nothing. The engine remained silent. She exhaled sharply. Her life was built on momentum, boardrooms, private flights, headlines praising her success. She was never late. Never helpless. And yet here she was, stranded on a quiet road with no signal, no assistant, and no control. Stepping out of the Ferrari, Isabella removed her heels and placed them carefully on the asphalt. The silence felt loud. No cameras. No admirers. Just nature and her own thoughts. Then she heard a small voice. "Mister." The child paused, frowned, and corrected herself. "Ma'am, is your car sick?" Isabella turned and saw a little girl standing nearby. She couldn't have been more than 7. She wore a simple yellow dress and held a backpack nearly her size. Her eyes were curious, gentle, untouched by the world Isabella knew. Isabella smiled despite herself. "Yes," she said softly. "It seems very sick." The girl stepped closer, studying the Ferrari seriously. "My dad fixes sick things," she whispered confidently. Isabella raised an eyebrow. Then the girl leaned in and said the words that would change everything. "My dad can fix it." Isabella almost laughed, not mockingly, but in disbelief. She had access to elite engineers, private mechanics, and emergency services that catered to billionaires. And yet, none of them were here. "That's sweet of you," Isabella said gently. "But this car is very complicated." The girl didn't look discouraged. She simply nodded and peered under the open hood, as if complexity didn't intimidate her. "My dad says complicated things just need more patience," she replied. Isabella felt something stir inside her, a mix of curiosity and humility. "Where is your dad?" Isabella asked. The girl pointed toward a modest house partially hidden by trees. "He's home. He used to fix big cars in the city." Isabella hesitated. Her pride resisted. What would people say if they saw her, fashion magazine's favorite CEO, asking help from a stranger in a quiet village? But the car refused to start again. She sighed. "All right," she said. "Show me." The girl smiled brightly and led the way. Isabella followed, noticing how fearless the child was, how unjudging. When they reached the house, a man stepped out, hands stained with grease, face weathered but kind. "Dad," the girl said proudly, "the lady's car is broken." The father glanced toward the Ferrari, then at Isabella. "That's a beautiful machine," he said calmly. Isabella nodded. "Can you fix it?" The man smiled gently. "Let me take a look." The man worked with quiet confidence, his movements precise. Isabella watched closely, surprised by his understanding of the Ferrari's complex engine. "You've worked on cars like this before," Isabella said. The man nodded. "Long ago." He told her about his past, how he once worked for elite automotive companies, how success cost him time with his family, and how losing his wife changed everything. He chose presence over prestige. As the engine finally roared to life, Isabella felt her breath catch. "That's incredible," she said. She reached into her purse and offered him a generous amount of money. He shook his head. "No. My daughter helped you. That's enough." The little girl smiled shyly. Isabella had closed million-dollar deals without emotion, but this moment shook her deeply. Before leaving the quiet village road, Isabella did something completely unlike her old self. She stood beside the now purring Ferrari, watching the mechanic wipe his hands on a worn cloth. The engine had come back to life, but something else inside her had shifted too, something deeper, heavier, and impossible to ignore. "You know," Isabella said slowly, breaking the silence, "I run one of the largest automotive investment firms in the country." The man looked at her, surprised but unimpressed. "I don't need investors," he said calmly. Isabella smiled, not the polished smile she used in boardrooms, but a genuine one. "I'm not offering money," she replied. "I'm offering purpose." She explained how her company built machines admired for speed and beauty, but often ignored the people behind them. How profit had replaced passion. How she suddenly realized that the best talent wasn't always found in glass offices, it lived in quiet houses with dirt paths leading to them. "I need someone who remembers why machines were built in the first place," she said. "To serve people." The man looked toward his daughter, who was sitting on the steps, swinging her legs happily. "My hours would belong to her," he said. "Then we're aligned," Isabella answered without hesitation. Weeks later, she kept her promise. He joined her firm as a senior technical consultant, working remotely, choosing projects that mattered. His presence changed the culture. Engineers listened more. Managers slowed down. And for the first time, Isabella realized leadership wasn't about control, it was about creating space for others to thrive. Isabella had always believed strength meant independence. She had built her empire after years of being underestimated, praised for her beauty, doubted for her intelligence. So she hardened herself. Learned not to ask. Learned not to lean. But after meeting the little girl and her father, something cracked. Back in her penthouse, surrounded by marble floors and city lights, Isabella felt lonelier than ever. The silence reminded her of that quiet road, only now, it was louder. She began replaying the moment in her mind. A child's confidence. A man's humility. A refusal of money. Isabella realized the Ferrari hadn't stranded her by accident. It had forced her to stop running, from vulnerability, from connection, from the truth that success without meaning felt empty. She changed small things at first. She started listening in meetings instead of dominating them. She asked her employees about their families. She stopped measuring her worth by numbers on a screen. The little girl began visiting the office occasionally, her laughter echoing through hallways once filled only with urgency and stress. Isabella noticed how people softened around her. And slowly, Isabella softened too. She understood then, what had truly been broken wasn't her car. It was her heart's belief that she had to face the world alone. Years passed, but Isabella never forgot that whisper. "My dad can fix it." What started as a single encounter grew into a mission. Isabella launched community workshops in small towns, places like the one where she had broken down. She funded mechanic schools for single parents, flexible work programs for caregivers, and scholarships named after the little girl, though few knew the story behind them. Her company became known not just for luxury vehicles, but for humanity. At a global conference, a journalist once asked her, "What was the turning point in your success?" Isabella paused. "It wasn't a deal," she said. "It was a breakdown." She told the story, not of a Ferrari, but of a child who believed in her father without hesitation. Of a man who chose presence over prestige. Of a woman who learned that being strong didn't mean being untouchable. Sometimes, Isabella concluded, the smallest voices deliver the biggest truths. And somewhere in a quiet village, a little girl grew up knowing her whisper had changed a life. Because sometimes, the world isn't fixed by power or wealth, but by faith, humility, and love.